What's up guys? Today we're going to be talking about how to buy a house, what you need to do to start the process, and how to make it a great experience. Stick around. What's up guys? Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the home buying process, what you need to focus on, and how to make it an awesome experience. So the first thing that you need to understand before you go out and you try to buy a home is financing. You got to speak to a lender. You need to understand what you actually can afford, what those monthly payments are going to look like, and what's required to actually qualify for the mortgage. Odds are you know somebody who bought or sold a house recently and somebody who's probably used a lender in one of those processes. So I always prefer a personal recommendation over just blindly looking up somebody on the internet. So what are the lenders going to ask you for when you start this process of the pre-approval? They're going to ask you for 2 years tax returns. They're going to ask you for a few recent pay stubs. And they'll most certainly have you fill out an online application. It's going to be online if the lender's not 99 years old. Once the lender has gathered all the information that they need initially to see if you qualify for a mortgage, they're going to hopefully issue you what's called a pre-approval letter. Most people know at least one real estate agent, whether good, bad, or indifferent. That doesn't mean you have to work with that person, but it means that you should have at least a small network of people that can give you some feedback on their personal experience with their agent or an agent that they know. So this agent then would set up your home search. So we're going to take the price point that you got on the pre-approval letter because the lender told you how much you're qualified for, and we're going to use that information to actually set up your search. Is it a townhouse versus a single family home, condo, regular ownership, bedroom, bathroom count, number of stories in the home, lot size, HOA versus no HOA. So that's where you need to communicate with your agent, tell them what you're looking for, and then they can go into the MLS and set up this specific search for you. So every time that a house pops up within the criteria that the agent set for you, you should get an automatic email. This is a great way to stay ahead of the market. This is a great way to keep a pulse on things and to build context together with your agent. One thing I would recommend when you do see some homes is to bring a notepad and pen, because a lot of times if you go see 3, 4, 5, 6 homes in a day, which is normal, you're gonna forget all the details about the homes, except for the ones that stood out to you. Maybe the ones that smelled like cookies and cupcakes. I also recommend bringing a bottle of water and taking a multivitamin that day, because guess what? It's exhausting. Also keep in mind that once you do have an agent, they're going to likely ask you to sign what's called an exclusive representation agreement. And this is just a contract allowing them to be able to make offers on real estate purchases on your behalf and show you homes. So you've seen some homes, you've gone through, you found the one that you want, and you're about to make an offer on that home. Now, when you're writing an offer, there's a couple of things that's going to be required. One is going to be that pre-approval letter from your lender that you were given. Then you're going to have the contract all signed and initialed, and that's going to include some contingencies. And the contingencies are something that you really want to make sure that you understand. Now, every real estate transaction is different. However, I'm going to discuss kind of the basic ones, the ones that you can typically expect to have. So 1, a home inspection. Very normal, whether it's a condo or a single family home or a townhouse. Typically, unless it's some distressed property, bank owned, short sale, foreclosure, rehab type of a house, you're going to have a home inspection. I highly recommend you attending the home inspection if at all possible. Sometimes you have crazy schedules, I get it. If you can't make it, make sure your agent goes on your behalf. But if you can make it, it's really important to do so. Now, if the house was built before 1978, you're also going to have lead-based paint disclosures. Those are very normal. A lot of times houses have been built over, they've been renovated, painted over, so some of the things back in the day where they did have a lot of lead in there usually aren't an issue anymore. So just understand, if the house that you're purchasing is older than 1978, you will have a lead-based paint disclosure form to sign. If the house is on septic and well and not public sewer and public water, then you're going to have those inspections. Now there's 2 types of septic inspections typically, and that's going to be a walkover and then a full inspection. The walkover, they typically just look at the distribution box. They'll stick a stick in there, and check it and look to see how it's looking. It's gross in there. So I feel bad for these guys. Sometimes distribution boxes are buried, sometimes they're accessible. So it's going to really depend on the property, on how invasive they have to be when they're doing that inspection. A septic inspection might cost $600 to $700, so you might want to budget for that, and just know that if you have to do a well and septic inspection, it might cost you a little bit more. So you're going to have the inspection contingencies in the contract outlined with the pre-approval letter. You're also going to need an EMD check. That's an earnest money deposit check. This is something that typically is about 1% of the purchase price. So if you're buying a house for $400,000, your EMD would be $4,000. Depending on the situation, if you offer less than 1%, it could make the sellers think that your financing might be weak, and that if you get into negotiations with the house, you're not going to be able to kind of play ball with them. So if you can, it's best to just mitigate any issues and have it be 1% of the purchase price. Now, what you need to understand about home inspections is they're not going to go in and start dismantling the mechanics. They're not going to start cutting holes in the walls to check for every little plumbing issue. So don't think that your home inspector is going to go in and be the say-all, be-all, end-all when it comes to issues with your house. There's been situations where things pop up after the home inspection, and depending on what that is, it could be a case of a bad home inspector, but it could also be a case of they didn't know and it wasn't their job to know. So that's why it's really important to have a home warranty, which we'll kind of get into a little bit later. Home warranty, I gotta make a note of that. Now, a typical home inspection might cost you $300 to $600. It's going to depend on the size of the house and where you're located. Now, going back to getting a personalized reference when it comes to picking your home inspector, I think that's a great idea as well. The agent that you're using, unless this is deal one for them, should have at least a few home inspectors that they have worked with in the past. The things that I care about the most are the reporting details from the home inspector. Not only the home inspector and their bedside manner, their understanding of the home and how long they've been in the business, but also their reporting. I've had a lot of really bad reports sent to me. Just totally black and white, very vague in detail. Now, on the flip side, I've had home inspectors who provide really great detailed reports. I mean, they're indexed, they have color, they're very descriptive. It actually shows what it should be versus what it is. That makes it really easy to pass that information along to the sellers when you're trying to negotiate some of those items. So what I would do is ask your agent or the home inspector if they have a report that they could show you from a client in the past. So just know that it doesn't have to be a crappy looking report. There are home inspectors out there that will provide really good reports. So that's something to just keep in mind. Now, once you've worked past the inspections, it's going to be time for settlement. You're going to want to make sure that you stay in close contact with your agent, with the title company, and with your lender, as they're all going to be working together to make sure that you guys get to settlement safely and easily. 99% of the time, any delays that are caused are usually on the consumer side. They didn't get the lender the documents that they needed, they didn't sign quick enough. That's usually what happens, so just keep that in mind, and time is of the essence. Home warranties. This is going to be something that you can absolutely negotiate and ask for in the offer for the home, and I recommend you do that. I also recommend you pick the company. There's a lot out there, so do your research, look and see which are the best companies, which have the best ratings, and maybe who you know who have used some of these companies that might have something positive or negative to say about them. The other thing that you'll want to do is talk to your agent and have him reach out to the sellers and get a list of utility companies. You'll want to have all the utilities transferred over into your name, typically the day of settlement. So make sure you have your utilities switched and ready to go. Thank you so much for watching the video today. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Leave us a comment if you have any questions, and we'll see you next time.